so much for being with us on this great Lord's Day. It's so good to welcome back Margie with us. And, take a look at the display we have over here for her. If you can, join Carol and Butch this afternoon, 2 to 4. That'd be a great encouragement, I'm sure, to Margie, and she'll be a great encouragement to you, I guarantee. Well, unlike Margie, I've spent all my life in the United States of America. And when I give blood, they always say, if you've been out of the country for a total of 6 months, I don't even come close to that. It's even a month away from America. And we're blessed here at Community Christian Church to have several countries of origin represented within our congregation. But there are a few nations on earth that have been founded on the lofty principles such as the United States of America. I want to read to you one of the founding documents, part of it, of this great land. And the Declaration of Independence says, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That's one of the original documents of this country. And look what they did. They had a recognition of God, of a creator God, and his important role in this new nation. Not only that, but they held a concern for their fellow citizens. And not only for their fellow citizens, but for the citizens of the world, actually. And so, the Bible is true. A nation is blessed if they have that Creator God as their Lord. Psalm 33 verse 12 tells us that. Just imagine having the Creator of the universe protecting you. That's a pretty awesome thought. But unfortunately, in this country, many are calling this era of American history as the post-Christian era. There used to be a Christian nation, they said, but that's no longer the case. Even those who would, if you pushed them, they'd say, yeah, I'm a Christian. They don't practice it. They don't obey the Lord. And so it's a very difficult situation. And in many sense, God has been kicked out of the public square. And what has taken its place? Well, things like delinquency and disrespect and crime and immorality. These are the things that happen when God is kicked out of a nation. We live in a culture whose focus is not on God, not on God's priority. It's on self and all that means. It's all about grabbing power. It's all about grabbing money, which many people say is power. That sort of thing. We're paying a great price for misplaced priorities in this country. Now you've heard the old phrase, the worst enemy of that which is best is good. And so we go for something good, we settle for something good, and we miss the best. That happens in our priorities. People settle in on good priorities, but fail to take on God's absolute best priorities in life. And so, what are some of the priorities we have? Well, we certainly think about our family. That's a priority. Our health, our wealth, friends, things like that. But even in Jesus' day, people wondered about what the priorities in life. They would put it in a phrase like, what are the most important commands that we need to obey? Maybe it never crossed their imagination that all of them are important, but we get it. We know what they were talking about, and Jesus knew exactly what they were talking about. And there were Jewish teachers would offer very different opinions, and so knowing that, it's not surprising that a scribe, who was a teacher of the law, approached Jesus and wanted to know his opinion
about what was the highest command in the law. And what Jesus told him tells us a great deal about what God views as really important in life. And what he tells him, I think, are life's greatest priorities. The teacher came to Jesus and asked him a question. What is the greatest commandment? Now, he was impressed with Jesus earlier. He heard him discussing the resurrection. And so that kind of got him interested in Jesus' opinion, what he perceived as the greatest commandments of God, or the greatest priorities, if you will, in life. And that teacher knew the history of Israel. And he knew that idolatry had ruined the nation. And so when Jesus gave him his answer, he complimented him. You've answered well. And so he asked him one question, but I want you to notice that Jesus gave him two answers. Why did he do that? Well, the teaching is in Mark chapter 12 in the New Testament. Mark chapter 12, beginning with verse 29. Jesus answered, the foremost is, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. And the second is this, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these. So why did Jesus give them two answers to one question? I believe it's because Jesus views these two elements of the law, love God, love others, as inseparable. You can't separate them. Verse 30, the love God, that makes sense. The God of the law is also the God of Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. He is a creator God. A creator God. And if he wanted to, he could have created us to love him automatically, right? He could have. He could have made us into robots, could have made us into puppets, and just had no choice in the matter. You're going to love me whether you like it or not. And since I'm God, you'll like it, right? Because he's God. But he didn't do that. Loving God is a personal choice. You have to choose to love God. And how are we to love him? Well, in this passage and other passages, if you're with us through reading through the Bible this year, and we came across that great verse in Jeremiah 29, you will seek me and find me if you seek me how? With all your heart. And here we have love God with all your heart. That was one of the commands. And we've talked about this before, about the biblical heart. You study the heart. It deals with your intellect, what you reason with your heart. It deals with your conscience. If your heart condemns you, God is greater than your conscience. And the biblical heart is your will. We are to give as we purpose in our heart. And of course, it's the emotion of love. Love the Lord your God with all your heart. And so, basically what he's saying, and the other things that he talked about, with all your soul, that's the eternal part of you. Your mind, that which directs you, the strength which takes the direction from your mind and goes at it. And so he's saying, love God with your whole being, everything you have. You see, God's not interested in first priority in your life. He's interested in that, but he's interested in every priority of your life. He wants in every circumstance that you're in. There's no separation of faith in your life. I told you about that guy a couple weeks ago that I met early in my ministry in Pennsylvania, hey, my faith is my faith, but business is business. You can't separate them. You are either a Christian or you're not. Wherever you are, you're faithful to the Lord. And so many times, and often, love prompts obedience, which Jesus talked about a lot, and oftentimes that plays out in the second command Jesus talked about, loving others. And so the connection, love for God, is seen by loving others. Sometimes those who are not lovable in man's sight. 1 John chapter 4, verse 20. Bible says if someone says, I love God and hates his brother, all right, you got that figured out? Okay, I love you, God, but I hate that guy. He is a, what? Liar. And the Bible clearly tells us liars are friars, right? Revelation 21:8, liars go to hell. For the one who does not love his brother whom he has seen cannot love God whom he has not seen. So it is a contradictory statement in the mind of God for you to tell him, I love you, God, and yet harbor hatred in your life for someone else. Let me say that again. It is a contradictory statement to say you love God and harbor any hatred in your heart. Can't do it. The wonderful definition of love, 1 Corinthians 13. See how you do on this checklist of love. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not jealous. Love does not brag. It's not arrogant. It doesn't act unbecomingly. It does not seek its own. It is not provoked. It doesn't take into an account a wrong suffered like an accountant who keeps a ledger sheet, credits and debits, credit, debit. You don't do that. Ran across somebody in one of my ministries that kept a notebook of things that she felt were done against her by people in the church. I'm all about saving letters if they're encouraging. If I got a negative letter, I would take any counsel I got from it and throw it out. I wouldn't let Satan use that to harbor bitterness in my life. But if it's an encouraging letter, I don't do it so much anymore, but early in my ministry I had a rah-rah book. All those, they went right in that book. And so when ministry got tough, I could look at some of those encouraging messages. But notice he goes on to say, it does not rejoice in unrighteousness, but rejoices with the truth. Bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. Did you notice how selfless love is? The love of God. The love that God wants us to have for people. And God's not asking us to do anything that he wasn't willing to do himself. John 3:16, one of the hallmark verses of the Bible. God so loved the world that he gave, selfless, gave his only begotten Son for us. In 1 John 3:16, John says, for we know love by this. You want to know what love is? What's love got to do with it? What is it? What's the definition? Here it is. That he, Jesus, laid down his life for us. That's love. To lay down our life. And we ought to lay down our life for our brethren. In 1 John 4:19, we love. Why? How? Because he first loved us. God paved the way for this. And so these are life's greatest priorities. Love God and love other people. Sounds pretty simple. Get those priorities out of whack, you're headed for trouble. And our nation is in trouble. Because it doesn't have the right priorities. You see, the government tries to emphasize helping and serving other people. We have the Peace Corps. We used to have the Peace Corps. I don't know if they're still active or not, but different things to help people. But they're extremely slack on giving God priority in all matters. For instance, protecting life, all human life. They don't care about God's law on that. And there's other things that they just don't have the priorities of God. They don't matter. And in individual lives. I quoted a study not too long ago that 60% of the American culture is unchurched. That is, 60% of America woke up this morning and didn't go to church anywhere. Of any kind. And that comes right down to the locality. So 60% of the local harbor is sitting at home this morning instead of worshiping the Creator God. And then if you take a look at the people who are not saved, it's even higher. Because not everybody that sits in, I'm not a farmer, so I might mess this up, but sitting in a chicken house doesn't make you a chicken. And sitting in a church house doesn't make you a Christian. because you're attending. So the majority of Christians, or Americans, are not Christian. They're not living by life's greatest priorities. Part of it because of neglect. They may know what to do, they're just not going to do it. Some of it's ignorance. Satan's done such a number in their lives that they cannot see clearly the priorities of God, but Satan has made sure they see his priorities and the priorities of the world. And that's what they've chosen to follow. And so we have a great task before us in the church to introduce people to Jesus and exhort them to follow God's priorities in their life. If we'll do that, it would be amazing what would happen if people would follow God's priorities. And so we want to implement some things as a church that's going to help people with misplaced priorities see clearly the priorities of God. And I want you to examine your life this morning. Is it clear by the way you live? I'm not just on Sunday. I'm telling you, every day of the week. Is it clear by your life that you have the priorities of God, of loving God and loving other people? Is that true of your life? Jesus said, there are no other commandments greater than them. These. Love God. And if you love God, you obey God. And love others, even if they're unlovable. We're representatives of Christ. You want to say it's much more than all burnt offerings and sacrifices. Isn't that amazing? All the sacrifices that they had made through the Old Testament. And we have people today that try, they're in that system. They're in that system of law. If they do a certain thing, they do so many good things, God wouldn't be able to turn them down. But those two commandments, love God and love others. All your good works, if you're not doing those, mean nothing to God. So leave today resolved to make the priorities of God your priorities in life. Let's continue to sing while the Lord's Supper, take up the Lord's offering.